Some new, very significant revelations today from day 19 in the Lori Vallow murder trial. A DNA match linked to the so-called Doomsday mom who's accused of killing her two kids in Idaho shortly after leaving their home in Arizona. Nearly 50 witnesses so far have now testified in this. Fox 10 investigative reporter Justin Lum is joining us live now with the latest. Justin?
Lexie, major evidence today. This is really the first time this trial we've learned of Lori Vallow's DNA found on one of the victims in this triple murder case. Remember, J.J. Vallow, her son, was last seen in Lori's apartment in September of 2019, late one night, and a DNA analyst testified in court this morning saying a partial DNA profile found on a piece of duct tape matched to Lori Vallow, specifically a piece of hair tested from the tape used to wrap JJ's body. Lori's late brother Alex Cox was the man seen holding the boy in her apartment, according to witnesses that night on September 22nd, 2019. 9 months later, authorities discovered the 7-year-old and his 16-year-old sister, Tylee Ryan, buried on the property of Lori's husband, Chad Daybell. Now, Lori and Chad are both accused of killing the children and conspiring in the murder of Tammy Daybell. That is Chad's previous wife. The chief medical examiner for Utah took the stand because Tammy's body was buried and then exhumed in Utah in late 2019. The medical examiner not only confirmed she died of asphyxia, but that there were bruises found on her arms and chest indicating Tammy was restrained somehow before she died. I spoke with Tammy's niece earlier today about what this ordeal in this trial has been like for her family.
It's different for different members of our family. Some are listening every day and taking notes. Some have distanced ourselves so that we can protect our mental health and our hearts. And I think every approach is valid with that. It's painful.
Yeah, Lexie, a painful ordeal for this family, just trying to heal and move on, and hopefully they want to see some justice for Tammy Daybell.
Yeah, and Justin, I really do want to go back, though, to that DNA evidence of Lori's hair being found on that tape connected to JJ. Just talk about how significant that piece of evidence is, and also what are Lori's lawyers saying about this?
This is a very significant piece of evidence because throughout this case, you never really see Lori's hands dirty, a physical tie, and this is the first time we've actually seen DNA evidence from her linked to her own son, J.J. Vallow. We know that, of course, J.J. lived with her, so her hair could be all over the apartment. But in this case, that night, Alex Cox was seen bringing J.J. up the stairs to bed. We know Lori was there. And so now this DNA evidence, it really, for some people following this case, they feel it's a nail in the coffin, at least for a conspiracy charge, a conviction.
And going back now to also Tammy Daybell, because a lot of this focus has been on JJ and Tylee, but of course Tammy Daybell is also a significant focus in this trial as well. Can we talk a little bit more about the testimony that was heard today?
Yeah, so of course the Utah medical examiner confirmed asphyxiation, but we didn't know too much about the actual bruising found on Tammy Daybell. And if you follow this case, you know there was no initial autopsy done when there was a response to the scene at Tammy's home in Idaho where she was found dead. The Daybells did not want an autopsy done. She was sent to a funeral home quickly, and she was buried at her memorial just a few days later. And the coroner even testified last week saying she did not see anything suspicious and did not feel an autopsy had to be done. So really, because of the suspicions around this case and what was happening in Arizona, the children being missing, where authorities went to Utah, exhumed Tammy's body and sent her to the Utah medical examiner's office to really figure out what was going on. That was huge, significant thing to happen there.
Okay, and Justin, what about Alex Cox? Because we learned today that his phone pinged at a shed on Chad Daybell's property the same day that Tylee was last seen.
The FBI special agent who testified today really retraced the steps of Alex Cox using that cell phone data, the consecutive days, September 9th, 2019 and September 23rd, 2019, following the last verified sightings of both Tylee and JJ are very significant because Alex Cox is at the Daybell residence, he's at Lori Vallow's residence, and those are the last times that we hear from JJ and Tylee. And that shed is important because remember, 18 hand tools were recovered from Chad Daybell's shed, and Tylee's DNA was found on not just a shovel, but the handle of a pickaxe. So there's a lot of evidence pointing to Chad Daybell and Alex Cox. In this case, for Lori Vallow today was big because of that hair found on the duct tape. But Alex Cox is really the person that is busy in all of this, and his cell phone data shows that. So this special agent was very crucial today in basically mapping out those points for the jury.
Yeah, a lot of major revelations today, Justin. And as you had talked about earlier, nearly 50 witnesses have now testified. How many more people do you think we can expect to hear from, and really just what comes next from here?
Yeah, the pace has sped up at times and slowed down. Today there were 3 witnesses, nearly 50, about 49 different witnesses to be exact. So the prosecution has really laid out a whole storyline for not just the children, the victims in this case, but as we just talked about, Tammy Daybell. Could we see more witnesses from law enforcement in Arizona? That's a possibility. Could we see more family members from the side of Chad Daybell or Tammy Daybell, anyone else connected to this case? Because remember, Chad allegedly said that he and Lori were married and had become or had been empty nesters. No indication that they had children at all. So interested to see what comes out of multiple states, not just Idaho, but Arizona, possibly Utah as well.
Okay, Fox 10's Justin Lum. Justin, incredible reporting as always. We'll be sure to check in with you more this week.
Thank you, Lexie.